Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to begin by giving all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the hopefully elect. All right. So the title of this video will be something to the effect of, "This is Esau / America's end." Something to the effect of or something to that effect, right? And before I divulge any further, I'm gonna begin with this scripture. This is 2 Ezra 4:37. It says, "By measure hath he measured the times, and by number hath he numbered the times, and he doth not move nor stir them until the said measure be fulfilled." Man, So with that being said, we're gonna get into it. So I looked up on ChatGPT, "How does America relate to the fate of empires" by John Glubb, right? So if you don't know, we'll go into it. And there's a word for it, and I'm also gonna ask. No, well, it's quintessential. That's what the word is. The word is quintessential. I think I'm pronouncing that right? But it means 250 years. That's a 250-year anniversary, right? And if you know, the United States came about in 1776. It's currently 2025, which means America or Babylon at this particular time, is quote unquote 249 years old. But according to The Fate of Empires with John Glubb, the average time for an empire to fall is 250 years. So these is just, these are just signs that this place, America, is bound to fall soon. Now, this is not to say that this is a prophecy that was given to me by Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, and saying that he's going to return in 2026 at 12:01 a.m. January 1st. No. But this is just showing that we are around this time. This is around the time that this place will fall, right? Of course, through all, through the spirit of all the prophecies that we have been graced with by Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, right? All the prophecies that are currently unfolding. Yes, of course, right? But this is just another piece of evidence, right? Just showing, like I read in 2 Ezra 4, that he already measured all these things out, man. It's just a pattern. These places are the same thing come back again. You understand? So let's get into it. So let's see. It says Glubb's main thesis. It says Glubb studied empires from ancient Assyria to Persia, and Persia to Rome, the Arab Caliphate, the Ottoman Empire, Spain, and Britain, concluding that most empires follow a predictable pattern lasting about 250 years, which is 10 generations, right? So again, these places have come back over again. What's one of the places that he named? Rome, right? All these things continue to happen in a cycle, right? All these things happen in a cycle. So it said he divided the lifespan into 6 main stages: the age of pioneers, the age of conquest, the age of commerce, the age of affluence, the age of intellect, and the age of decadence, right? So you got pioneers, and it divulges a little bit into it, because I asked it, how does America relate, right? So according to ChatGPT, it says, according to Glubb's framework, America's outburst began in 1776 with the Revolutionary War and the founding of the Republic. That means as of 2025, the U.S. is about 249 years old. right around the end of Glove's typical empire lifespan, right? So how does it compare? And, all these things are beautifully stated out, man, because this is just ways that we know that the end of this place is coming, right? The end of this wicked kingdom, the end of this empire is all going to come crashing down, right? So, but how does it relate? So you got the age of empires, or you got the age of pioneers, right? And it says the U.S. equivalent is the 1776 to around the 1820s. And of course, we know these dates are, around about, right? But you can see through the spirit the stages that America has went through. So you got the age of pioneers, right? So it was founded in 1776. That's when Esau came over here, right? And took this land from our brothers who are, Israelites and the Native Americans, right? The so-called Native Americans, right? Because as we know, they were already here, right? But that's how they founded this place, right? So on and so forth, right? They took over. They started with the 13 colonies, and they expanded, right? Which leads to the next stage, which is the age of conquest, right? And you see it says manifest destiny. Now, let's go. If people don't know what that is, that was when they expanded westward, right? It says manifest destiny was the 19th century belief that the United States was divinely destined to expand across the North American continent, right? So these devils, right, these Edomites, they used quote unquote divinely destiny, right? Meaning they figured they got this destiny through the Most High, which we know, the Most High is not dealing with Esau, Edom, man. This is just their wicked ways. You understand? But to continue on, it says this ideology fueled westward expansion, territorial acquisition, and American exceptionalism, leading to policies like the Indian Removal Act and the Mexican-American War, which we know, again, your so-called Latinos and Native Americans are also Israelites. They're also our brothers, right? So in a sense, not even in a sense, because we know that Yahweh Shem Shai was always using Esau, Edom to punish Israel, right? They just went overboard with it, man. But, getting back to these stages, that's the age of conquest, right? So that happened to America, right? When they expanded. Then you got the age of commerce, the next stage, stage 3. It says massive economic growth or innovation. And we know that happened when you had the roaring 20s, so on and so forth. You know, the stock market, all these things. You had the creation of the car, right, of the vehicle, and really the what do you call it? Mass production, right? When you had the assembly line with Henry Ford up in Detroit, right? You had these things going on. This is you had the age of commerce, right? You had the economic growth, right? And yeah, we know, they went through the Great Depression, but obviously they came out of it, obviously, right? Then the next stage, it says the age of affluence, right? So you had it says the post-war boom, suburban life, consumerism, right? So this is just an age of of prosperity, an age of peace, if you will. It's after the war, right? People, what do you call them? I could be mistaken, but I think that's where the term baby boomers come from, because that's when all the men came home from war and they all began having babies. They all went back to their home to their women, and they end up having all these big families or whatever, right? But that happened, right? Then you have the age of intellect, right? And it says the tech boom. You got education, cultural liberalism, right? So you have the creation of the phone, or your your personal phone. You remember you had the Nokias, the Blackberries, all these things started coming out, right? You had your beepers, you had your the computer was developed, so on and so forth, right? All these things began to boom, right? The age of intellect, the age that America grew in technology wise, right? Which you can argue it started to bleed into a little bit longer than it, because it just says the 2000s, but it has bled longer into that, right? And then now you have the age of decadence, which is where we are at right now, right? You have places that there's a division inside of the nation, and we know the scripture said what? A nation divided against itself shall not stand, right? And that's the age that we're in now. It says what? Wealth inequality, and of course we that's obvious, right? You got your Bill Gates of the world, especially your top banking families, but you have your Bill Gates of the world, you have your Elon Musk of the world, your what's that Edomite's name, the one that Jeff Bezos, so on and so forth, right? But then you have your poor to poor, right? And that's clear as day, right? And then it says polarization, loss of unity. This place is, again, like I said, it's a nation divided against itself, man. Okay, there's internal conflicts all through this place, right? It says decline in birth rates. We already know that they have all these forms of birth control. They're trying to control the population and so on. Even politicians have said that out loud, that they are trying to control the population and decline population and so on and so forth. You got the birth controls, you got the abortions, the plan Bs, all these things, right? Dependence on debt. This place is flooded in debt. All you have to do is just do your research. This place is flooded in debt to all these other countries, right? China being one of the biggest ones, right? Trump just created that big, beautiful bill that's supposed to help us get out of debt, but it's not. It's not going to happen. It says entertainment focus, right? This place is nothing but it's just a big entertainment business, right? All the theatrics, so on and so forth. Everything's a show here, right? People live too comfortably, So that's just the place that this place is in, man. That's how we're at the end, man. Every empire has had all these stages, and they all came to an end on an average of 250 years, man. So that America has the same fate. We'll read this. It says, key parallels Glubb might note in America. It says massive wealth plus inequality, cultural fragmentation, immigration reliance, declining birth rates and patriotism, rise in intellectualism and skepticism, overextension abroad, and focus on pleasure and entertainment. And I'm also going to plug in a little bit from a video. So I'm gonna let that play now.
The final stage of an empire is the age of decadence. It's characterized by a number of symptoms: internal division, an influx of foreigners, materialism and frivolity, a welfare state, weakening religion, and a defensive mindset. Empires decline amidst a cacophony of argument. Glubb writes that endless and incessant talking fails to solve political and social disagreements. Amid a babble of talk, the ship drifts onto the rocks. That is because cleverness cannot solve problems that require self-sacrifice. There are times when the perhaps unsophisticated self-dedication of the hero is more essential than the sarcasms of the clever. Glubb notes that internal strife is a hallmark of decline and gives the Byzantine Empire as a prime example. Civil wars and infighting preoccupied the empire until the Ottomans were already on their doorstep. Strikes, demonstrations, boycotts, and similar activities are prevalent in the last stage of empire, and internal strife is exacerbated by external conflict. Rather than unifying around a potential threat, the nation pulls itself apart. An influx of foreigners, usually concentrated in cities, accompanies a civilization's decline. Glubb claims that when a culture is homogeneous, there is a feeling of solidarity and comradeship among the people. But a large number of foreigners disrupts this. Foreigners disrupt the unity of the empire due to a few reasons. Number one, their nature often differs from that of the original imperial stock. Number two, in hard times they are less willing to sacrifice their lives and their property. Number three, they are liable to form communities of their own. And finally, there may be resentment among those who were previously conquered by the imperial race.
All right, so as you see, America falls right into that scope, man. America is ending, right? And you saw at the end how it talked about, when you have people, when you have people living amongst you who you have conquered at a point in time, and in this case, it's clear as day, the Israelites, right? They're going to come against you, and we've always been against Esau, Edom, right? But these are just ways to show that this place is coming to a decline, man. And on that note, let's read another scripture, because some people think, as America falls, that China is going to take over or Russia is going to take over, but we know nobody else is coming into power but Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, right? Nobody else is coming into power. So let's grab this, and then we'll close it out. So this is 2nd Ezra 6 and 9. It says, "For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth," man. Jacob is the beginning of it that follows. So this place is going to end. This place is going to be destroyed through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, and then Israel will be on top. So, Lord willing, that was edifying. We're going to end this by giving all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. And shalom to hopefully like